The interesting thing about recovery, my best friend, who unfortunately he's deceased, he became a physician. So he was rewriting scripts for us, right? And he kept getting intervened upon at the hospital because he was going to be an anesthesiologist for the drugs. He said, "This is the best drugs ever," right? So, and they kept nodding out in the elevator and they would send him to treatment and bring him back. So he shows up with me one day, because he showed me how to inject drugs and do it right and all this stuff. Good friend of mine, right? So we're writing Percocets and shooting cocaine and getting by. And so he shows up. He says, "You got to meet me at this place. I went to this thing called NA, and it's the best ever." And blah blah blah. And meet me at this church. And so I went. And that day, ironically, I had gotten on methadone, right, for the very first time. So I didn't shoot any dope that day. This was amazing. This was like a godsend. Oh, this is 1985. Of course, he doesn't show up because he started relapsing again. And I sat through the meeting without him. I said, maybe he'll come. I sat through the meeting. And then they said at the end, "Does anybody have anything they want to share?" Whatever they called. And I didn't know. So I raised my hand and I said, "Oh, yeah, I'm really happy I'm here. I got on methadone." And then I got a chance to go to treatment again in 87, in October of 87. And I got on a plane, came to Florida, and my father was here. And he gave me an opportunity to go. And I listened to everything they said, everything they told me. I
Is
just,
that when he said, "Just try it and give it your best shot"?
just do your best. Do your best. That was the biggest supportive thing. And he peeled off a bunch of money and paid them. And they kept shipping me facility to facility because I wasn't, I guess, the best patient. I don't know. They kept trying and I kept going. I kept going and listening. I went to 4 different places and stayed drug free and tried to sabotage it a number of times, but and didn't use. And that was the bottom line. I just didn't use. And I stayed drug free from the day I walked in that place. And that's a while ago. It, it, the most important thing is that, whatever I did then, I woke up and do the same thing today, which is no matter what, I'm not going to use. I mean, it's the same decision they taught me then, that stick around, the doors are locked. If you want to go, you got to sign this paper. It's going to take 72 hours. And by the time you get there, you're not, we'll open the door for you because it's in Florida. It's like, you can't lock you up for drugs for being mentally they can, but otherwise not. And they said, by the time you get around to going out that door, you'll have changed your mind 1,000 times. So here's the
And
paper. Yeah, go ahead and sign it. Go ahead and sign it. And I never did.
I want to back up because you make a very valid point of you might change your mind 1,000 times. What was it that helped you make up your mind? When did you realize that your life had become unmanageable? What was that turning point for you?
It's about going was when they showed up. My father and the girlfriend he had showed up looking for me, and then wrote a letter 2 or 3 weeks later. And I had this letter that they wrote me that they would put me on a plane. And it wasn't like there was any doubt that I was an addict. There was never really any denial. It was like I didn't know a way out. I never knew that there was a way out other than, I'd gone to detox twice in 1985. And by the time they said, I was ready to listen to go to treatment, the opportunity to go had evaporated. So went to a state treatment center. I knocked on the door. I called them up on a Sunday and they said, "Well, we're closed." I said, "I don't give a fuck. I'm a taxpayer." And they're like, "What do you mean?" Let me tell you something. I am so desperate that I'm going to get on a bus and I'm going to get there. I'm going to sit on the front step until you open the door. I got to be there. I can't not be there because things are that bad in my world. And they were like, "You got to be crazy." I said, "Not crazy. I'm desperate." And so they said, "Well, okay, then come on down." And they let me in. And it turned out to be a therapeutic community with
Yes.
nobody in there but people doing jail time. They were
Yep.
all there, court ordered. And they would look at me and they said, "What are you doing here?" I said, "What do you mean? I'm trying to get better." And they said, "You're crazy, man. You don't get better here. They just beat your ass up." And they gave me a razor and they said, "You want that? You like that mustache?" I said, "Well, yeah, I've had it for 10 years. You got to shave it off. If you want to stay here, you got to shave it off. You got to show us the willingness." And like took me 4 hours to come to that. And then I did it. I shaved it off. Whole new identity.